Mickey Loomis addressed the media this Wednesday, and he had a lot to say, like confirming Dennis Allen's coming back, comparing him to a couple of Hall of Fame coaches, and he also hinted at Marshon Lattimore's future. Let's get into it right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rosvoglu, and as always, this podcast is brought to you by Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. Have been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, or hurt offshore. Scott Vicknair handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. So I'm honestly not feeling my best this Wednesday, but when Mickey Loomis comes out, talks to the media, and mentions a plethora of things, both concerning, both delusional, and some truth to it, you gotta discuss it. So let's start off with the main thing here, which is the no-brainer. Mickey Loomis confirms that Dennis Allen is coming back this year, and while him just saying, hey, Dennis is coming back, I have faith in Dennis, that would have been enough. Fans aren't going to agree with it. You know fans aren't going to agree with it, but you can stop there. Instead, he decides to compare Dennis Allen to some all-time great coaches. Said he knew that he was going to be asked about Dennis Allen and Dennis Allen's record. So he said, Chuck Noll in his first 3 years, 1-13, 5-9, 6-8. He's recognized as a good football coach. Bill Belichick, 6-10, 7-9, 7-9. Tom Landry, 0-11, 4-9, 5-8. All of them are Hall of Fame coaches. The easy thing is to blame them. You got to look beyond that. First off, I would understand the defending Dennis Allen stuff if the Saints thing was the first tenure of his head coaching career. But we can't ignore that he went 4-12, 4-12, 0-4 with the Raiders. We can't ignore that. And I'm not saying that the Saints have to undo the decision they've made and fire Dennis Allen. You guys know where I stand on Dennis Allen. I'm not changing my opinion unless I'm presented different information and production out of his football team. But I've accepted that he's the head coach for next year. So we don't need to do a whole song and a dance and compare him to Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Bill Belichick, whoever you want. Because if you guys ask me to name some all-time great movies, I'll give you all-time great movies. I'll bring up Shawshank. I'll bring up Fight Club. I'll bring up Dark Knight. I'll bring up whatever movies I think are genuinely great all-time movies. I'm not going to throw in Dirty Grandpa in the mix, but that's pretty much what he did there by bringing up all-time great coaches and then throwing in one of the worst coaches, not in my opinion, just off his winning percentage of all time. I just found that ludicrous. I found it asinine. I expect nothing less, though. I know that's who Mickey is at this point. But he confirms Dennis Allen's back. We get that. What I did not appreciate, though, besides the comparisons, was when asked about what went wrong, you can't really just look and blame it on the coach. You can't just look and blame it on the quarterback. Why not? It's the NFL. It's the NFL. Do you know how this league works? When the Texans make the playoffs, who gets all the credit in the world? CJ Stroud, DeMeco Ryans. No one mentions anyone else on that team. No one talks about the defense. No one talks about the pass catchers. No one talks about certain players stepping up. You mentioned CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans because you got your coach and quarterback tandem there. So when you fail, like the Saints did this year, because they were supposed to be a playoff team and they weren't, who does it fall on? What's fair is fair. It's always a song and a dance with this dude about what is right, what is wrong. The fans are being silly. They're being lazy. They're being that. I don't know how many more words he's going to use for this fan base. We've got silly. We've got lazy. Pretty much called them poor by talking about the economy playing a factor in the attendance not being great. It's just, why do you have to go to those lengths? I would rather a no comment than a bullshit comment. And that's what they got, a bullshit comment. So Dennis Allen's back. That is what it is. We've all accepted it. We all know that's a fact. So there's no news there. It's more so the song and a dance that Mickey Loomis has to go to. The interesting thing that he got to was talking about Marshon Lattimore. So he's asked about the option bonus with Marshon Lattimore. And here's what he had to say. He said, at first it was all cap stuff, and then said, which is the most telling quote, there's a reason, but I'm not going to get into it. Now, I'm not saying Mickey Loomis should sit up there and go, Marshon Lattimore's on the trade block. Absolutely not. And I'm not blaming him for not answering the question. All I'm saying is, reading into that quote, I think it's pretty clear that Marshon Lattimore will be traded. I'm not blaming Loomis for that comment. I didn't think it was a ridiculous comment. I think that was GM talk, and he did what he's supposed to do. Don't give away too much. Maybe hint at it a little bit if you want to, which he decided to. And I think this is just the end of the Marshon Lattimore era for the Saints. Part of it stings. I think that they're obviously a better team with him on the field. The other part of it, I understand there's frustration that he hasn't been on the field. Where my frustration stems from is I don't believe the Saints will get fair/equal value for Lattimore. That's where my frustration is. I think if you told me the Saints would get a first-round pick for Lattimore, I'd say, let's do this thing. I don't even think they're going to get anywhere close to that. I think this is going to be a later day 2 pick. And if I'm wrong, which I hope I am, great. But that's where I kind of lean forward. And that's where my frustration is. I understand that Marshon's a great player and the best cornerback talent-wise to ever suit up for the Saints, and I would hate to see him go. But the older I get, the more I'm like, it's a business. I understand how this stuff all operates. I just hope that they are able to get decent value in return. Now, the last thing I want to bring up before I get out of here is a comment that Loomis made that just confused the fuck out of me. Just confused the utter hell out of me. He said, I feel like we've gotten a little too comfortable the last couple of years, so I want to make it uncomfortable. How do you do that when you're keeping the same head coach in the building? How? That's all I want to know. That's the only thing I want to know. How does it get uncomfortable? Does it get uncomfortable by bringing in a new OC? Well, let's see who the new OC is. If it's a young, innovative mind, awesome. I'm going to give the Saints all the credit in the world. If it's just bringing in someone like a John Gruden who they already know, what are we doing? I have no fucking clue. As for the making it uncomfortable, getting rid of your good players, does that make it uncomfortable? That seems like it's only making it uncomfortable for the players and very comfortable for the head coach. So when you make a comment like that, and he's sitting there chewing his gum as obnoxious as possible this Wednesday, my question is, what the hell is the plan to make it uncomfortable? And how does it get uncomfortable when it already is uncomfortable? Because the players and the coaches clearly aren't aligned. And yet, that coach is still in the building. So that's my question for Mickey Loomis. I at the end of the day, I know that GMs are not going to give away everything. They're not. They're going to say certain things with certain terminology. You're going to say whatever. But today, I mean, he made some comments that I thought, really, dude, just keep that one in the chamber. But I guess that's just me.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that will help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.
So what'd you make of Mickey Loomis's comments? Are you more optimistic about the Saints? Are you more pessimistic? Has your stance kind of stood even ground? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, subscribe to Boo Crew Media for more because we're trying to get videos out like this every single day. And stay tuned for more content from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for